All right, friends, this is day 4 of our online Bible study and our reading plan looking at the book of James. We're in the beginning of chapter 2 today, verses 1 through 7. Once again here, James hits us with a very poignant truth. He then spends 3 verses giving an example of how this plays out. And then he spends 3 more verses kind of talking about why this temptation that we fall in, which he highlights in verse 1, is really pretty foolish. So I want to walk through that and then talk about how it really affects us today also. So here is this kind of bottom line truth that he's hitting us with. My brothers and sisters, show no partiality. So don't be partial towards certain people over others. As you hold the faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory. So partiality, like to be partial towards certain people, to show favoritism towards certain people, to have kind of a stratification, to treat people differently. This is not about the granular level where there are certain people that we kind of welcome into our lives because they're kind and they're grace-filled and they sharpen us. And there are other people that we have appropriate boundaries around because maybe they harm us and all those things. It's not about that. It's more kind of broader strokes. Are there groups of people that we have favoritism towards, that we show partiality towards? And he says, you got to be on guard around this because look, we are people who hold the faith in our Lord Jesus Christ, the Lord of glory. And underneath the banner of our belief in Jesus, underneath the banner of the grace of Christ, underneath that banner, we believe that all people are viewed by God equally. We know that the world doesn't view everybody equally. The world has all kinds of stratification, either official or unofficial caste systems. We know that the world sees society like that. James says, we got to be really careful. We got to be really careful not to fall into that ourselves, to stratify people based on a variety of different things. He's going to give one example here, but you can fill in the blank about all of the ways that we stratify society. He says, we got to be careful with that. We're different than the rest of the world. Here's an example he gives. If a man wearing a gold ring and fine clothes comes into your assembly, picture that. It could be your church, it could be your workplace, it could be your home. And a poor man in shabby clothes comes in. And if you pay attention to the one who wears the fine clothes and say, you sit here in a good place, while you say to the poor man, you stand over there, or sit here at my feet, have you not then made distinctions among yourselves? I think he gives us examples because people are probably saying, I don't show partiality. In my eyes, everybody's the same. I treat everybody equally. He says, okay, no. Let's get ourselves in a real life situation. Imagine that you are sitting here, this guy walks in, and this guy walks in. Do you not treat them different? But that ought to hit some of us right between the eyes. Right? I mean, if you're sitting in Chick-fil-A and a person like this walks in, a person maybe that you recognize from the TV, and then a person like this walks in, a person that you recognize from the street corner, do you not want to go up and associate with one of these people and avoid eye contact with this other person? Do we not do that? And if we do that, have we not become judges with evil thoughts? So we're not judging, putting people in stratification, and with evil thoughts. The evil thought, again, of our minds working in the same way that the world does. We favor certain people over others, rather than the good thoughts that come from being just enamored with and overcome by the grace of Jesus, where we begin to see the world the way that God does, where we don't show partiality. Again, it doesn't mean that we don't draw closer to some people than the others based on just, again, how they edify us, they strengthen us, all of those things. It doesn't mean that, but it does mean that my tendency to favor people who can do something for me, because of their monetary means or because of their social status, my tendency to favor those people over favoring and wanting to associate with people who can't offer me anything and who may, financially at least, and who may even lower my social status. That partiality that I show is something that James is saying that needs to be addressed in our lives, in our minds, and in our hearts. Again, this speaks to a variety of different things in our lives. It certainly speaks to socioeconomic stuff. I think it speaks a lot to kind of our fame culture and the way that we are enamored with people who are good at sports or good with a microphone in front of them, that we are drawn towards those people. It obviously speaks to questions of race and ethnicity and all of that stuff. I mean, it speaks to a variety of things where James is saying, if we are showing partiality the way that the world is, then we got to really check ourselves and say, are we seeing the world the way that God sees the world? And that is what James wants us to see. He wants us to see the world, and he wants us to see other people the way that God does. And in God's eyes, we all have equal worth. We all have equal value. Yeah, I didn't read that last little part, but you read it on your own. I think it kind of pokes at how foolish it is to show that kind of partiality, but I'll let you read that on your own. So, good questions for us, I think. Who are we welcoming into our lives? Do we have a tendency to just welcome in the people that can do something for us? And are there people, groups of people in our lives that we tend to stray away from or stratify? And do we need to allow God to do some of that work in our hearts and our lives? And are there some physical steps that we can take to break that down? God bless you, friends. Keep at it, and I'll see you soon.